This time we're taking a look at DungeonWar, which was previously called You Conquest, and has been out for a few years, but I just picked this up recently. It is very efficiently packaged. You've got rules in English and Japanese, and you've got two different decks of cards and one six-sided dice. There are kingdom cards, and there are make you cards, which I think means maze, but is essentially in this game dungeon cards. As you can see, they have very cool illustrations on them. Most of the kingdom cards are mostly in black and white or solid colors, and they are in English as well as Japanese. Each of the character cards has two values, an attack value and a wits value. The attacks are for attacking monsters, and the wits are for developing the buildings you get. The dungeon cards are in full color and have very cutesy illustrations. And basically, in this game, you are going to be fighting a monster or fighting a dungeon room. In this case, the Sanctuary of Nightingale. And if you beat this monster, it becomes a building for you on your side of the table. In this case, a hospital. The buildings have a population marker. You are trying to get 7 or 10 population markers, depending on whether you're playing the advanced game or not. When you develop a building, you turn it sideways, and that increases its population generally, and sometimes triggers a special ability. To set up the game, you deal 5 face-up dungeon cards into the center of the table and 5 cards to each player. You have a 5-card hand limit, which you must discard down to at the end of your turn, and you also have a 5 building limit. You can only have 5 buildings in front of you at the same time. On your turn, you draw 1 card and perform 1 action. The actions are attacking a monster in the dungeon, using a Get You card to steal one of their buildings that they've built, develop one of your buildings, which is increasing its value, or drawing another card. To go to the dungeon, you choose which monster you're going to attack. You discard any number of characters and maybe a special item or something, and roll the dice. You add the dice result to your combined combat value, and if you equal or exceed this dungeon monster value, you get the building. The dungeon is then refilled from the top of the deck, and the next player takes their turn. To attack another player, you expend a Get You card. Some of the buildings let you do that in characters as well, and do something similar. That you discard character cards, add their combat value, roll a dice. They can do the same, and if you win, you get their building. Developing a building uses wits. You don't get a dice roll. You just use the wit value, and it must equal or exceed the value on the monster, and it lets you turn the building card sideways, and that increases their population and sometimes triggers a special ability. The advanced rules lets you play 1 character a turn face up in front of you, up to a maximum of 3 in front of you, and you can use these every turn unless you fail a fight of some sort. And the only other change is that it lets you freely attack other people's character cards. The worst thing about this game is the dice. I didn't mention this before, but anytime you roll a 1, you lose. So even if you have enough value in characters and abilities to get this big, huge 20 building, if you roll a 1, they all just get discarded and you fail. If you're playing the advanced game and you have characters that are in play, this means 1 in 6 times all your characters that are in play just die. Since you're drawing from the same deck, you wish the cards would be more balanced. They are not. Some cards are just straight up hugely better than others, and there's not enough variation in general to make this an interesting game. If you like the sound of this game, I would suggest picking up Ascension instead. It has a kind of similar feel to it, but it's way better balanced. A general rule of thumb is that multiplying cards by dice equals way more random than is worth playing.